Hello everybody, the Warmback here with some 999. We return to Junpei as he has just left the closet. I'm sure that must have been quite the decision. In any case, a few pretty huge events, well, not really events, revelations have occurred in the past episode. Just to name the major ones, we finally got what seemed to be Zero's manifesto, or some such thing. It was, I suppose we can, I think there's a few things you could take for granted here. Like, we're supposing that, yes, that note was written by Zero, and that Zero's telling the truth. So, those are two things we're assuming here. So, assuming that's true, it seems that Zero's motivation for all of this is to get revenge on the people who orchestrated the original experiment 9 years ago. That seems to be the be-all, end-all here. Of course, it seems a few people who seem innocent to me have been caught up in this. In that Lotus, Seven, June and Junpei, Clover and Snake have been caught up in this. They seem innocent to me, but we know they, except for June and Junpei, of course, they all seem to be connected with that event 9 years ago. So maybe Zero doesn't consider them innocent. Maybe they just think whoever's connected with what happened back then deserves to be put through this. In any case, the four main people that Zero wants to get revenge upon, I have them written here. It's Gent, and again, pardon my pronunciation. I'm gonna try here, but it will not be perfect. I know that, or even good. Let's see. We have Gentaro Hongo, CEO, who we are now very, very sure is Ace. We have Nagisa Nijisaki, who is Chief of Staff. Don't know who that is. We have Teruaki Kubota, the R&D Supervisor. And we have Kagechika Musashido, who is the majority shareholder. And those last three don't really... Oh, sorry, Junpei. The last three don't really ring a bell. It makes sense why they're being targeted if they are higher-ups who are in charge of the whole thing. My theory last time was that they might be, just a guess, it might be the captain, the person who's dressed as a captain, and it might be the ninth man. Those two guys might be members of that four-person group. The only thing that would be odd about that is they both died very early, so I'm not sure if that would be something Zero wanted. Would Zero want them to just be killed, or would he want them to be put through the experiment? That's the thing. The only one of those four that catches my eye is the last one, in that it's majority shareholder, and the only person in the entire game that is talked about holding shares and stock and anything like that is Santa. And we don't know his name, but I'm kind of thinking now Santa might be Zero, so that wouldn't really make sense if that's him. Plus, he seems fairly young to suddenly be a major shareholder, so I'm not sure that's the case. But that's all I've got to work with so far. So with my theory of Ace, the ninth man, and the captain being three, we're missing one. So I'm not sure about that. In any case, that was a pretty big reveal. It confirmed that this is all a revenge thing, all that sort of stuff. A few other big things. Clover died, which is sad and crazy. Of course, she might have died the one time, let's see here, let me show you. The first time I went through here, obviously I did not do it correctly. And in this route here, Junpei discovered Lotus dead and then was killed himself. So Clover could have died in this instance 2, we just never saw it. So this time we did, in fact, see she had been trying to open the lockbox. Not sure how she heard about it, but I guess well, we know she was with Seven and Lotus, so maybe she could have asked about the time that Seven was with Snake, because she asked Junpei the same thing. Hey, when you were with Snake, did you notice anything weird? She could have asked Seven that, and Seven could have told her about the lockbox. So that checks out, actually. But I guess she somehow made the connection with the note she found. I'm thinking she found the note on the captain. And I think she probably took the Zero bracelet too, but unfortunately she got killed trying to get here and opening it. She got knifed, so that would immediately bring it to my suspicion to Ace for that. What else did we learn? One thing that's interesting for me personally is that the ninth man's body is still there. So the body in the bathroom that is supposedly Snake, but we're sure is not Snake anymore. It's not the ninth man, so we have an unnamed, unknown corpse right now. Yeah. In any case, I'm not sure what happens now. Presumably, we're going to try and go to the ninth door, because I don't think there's much left to do, but I guess we'll have to see. Okay, let's continue then. There were 5 people waiting for him in the bedroom. Ace, Lotus, Santa, Seven, and June. He looked at each one of them in turn and slowly placed his hands in the pockets of his vest.
Sorry, but do you think you could all come with me?
Come with you?
I want all of you to go to the big hospital room.
Didn't he say, I didn't write this down. Didn't he say it seemed like someone had opened the lockbox before? Like there was rust on the table or the cabinet it was on? I feel like he said that. I'll have to go back and check that. But if someone opened it up before him, then it means that there's someone else here. I would think maybe Ace, but someone else has opened it and also has seen Zero's manifesto, so.
Why?
There's something I want to be sure of.
What do you want to be sure of?
I want to know if the person I suspect is really the culprit.
Wait, then you're saying...
Yeah, I think I've got it figured out. I know who killed Snake and Clover.
Uh-oh. This could be it, actually. This could be the big reveal. Let's see. The atmosphere in the room changed. Grief was suddenly gone, replaced by attention like a strap of leather, yeah, for some reason. Okay, stretched to its limit. 5 sets of eyes stared at Junpei. He pretended not to notice.
Anyway, if you could all please move to the big hospital room. I'll explain everything as soon as we get there.
Then, almost as if on cue, the bell began to ring. They all heard it. It was the bell from the clock in the main staircase. The bell rang 5 times, then ceased.
It's 5 o'clock.
Got an hour left, my goodness. Something tells me that my instincts are telling me this might be an ending where a lot gets revealed, but I feel like there's going to be an ending where we actually escape, and I feel like that's this yellow thing here. But this feels like the one where like everything gets revealed. Sorry, I keep saying like. That's bad habit.
We don't have a lot of time left. Let's go.
Slowly, one by one, they followed Junpei out of the bedroom.
Actually, before we get started, I was hoping you could do something for me.
Junpei stopped in front of door 3 and turned around.
Ace, 7, and Lotus, could you please place your palms on the red?
Huh?
Why? If we need to get to the shower room, why don't we just...
No, we're not going inside. Once you've authenticated, step away from the door.
Why?
Please, just do it.
He's illustrating a point, I
Or
think.
perhaps you don't want to know who killed Snake and Clover.
Junpei's implication was clear, and Seven understood perfectly.
Fine.
What about you, Ace? Lotus?
Well, Here's the question, like, is Snake actually still alive? Because it seems weird if you're going to kill Snake anyway, why would you then disguise the body? That's the big thing that I keep getting stuck on. It makes it seem like he's alive, but I just don't know.
Very well.
Sure.
Quickly, they pressed their palms onto the red. Once they had finished, they stepped away from the door as Junpei had instructed. 3 asterisks shown from the red's display panel.
I have this idea. I don't think this device responds to a hand placed on it. It instead reacts to a bracelet being brought close. You don't actually need a hand.
Ah, okay. So, okay, yep, go ahead. Junpei approached it, held his bracelet over the scanner. He made quite sure he didn't place his palm on it, instead brought his bracelet near it. 4 asterisks appeared. Yes.
I knew it.
Okay, this was already pretty much confirmed for me, but it looks like we're definitely in the giving answers part right now. So I do appreciate that they're just giving me the answer for this. Yeah, just as Junpei had expected, it was possible to authenticate without placing one's palm on the red. So as long as he had the bracelet was brought near it. Yep. Junpei pulled the lever down. Door 3 opened like a hungry mouth. 9 long seconds passed. And the door shut, unfed. Junpei walked slowly back to the others, who were waiting some distance from the door, talking to one another. Santa and June had joined them as well.
Huh?
It looked as though they hadn't found a chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him, curiosity playing on their faces. Before long, the other 3 did as well.
What was that about?
How should I know?
I find it interesting that none of them have brought up the point that we only have an hour left, and thus, should probably be getting to the 9th door, but, this is important, so it makes sense. Clearly, they were all expecting some answers.
Thanks. I appreciate your cooperation.
Clearly, they'd hope for something more forthcoming. He continued.
By the way, Ace, would you mind if I asked you something?
What is it?
Do you know who I am?
An interesting question, because now I am forced to ask the question to myself. I don't know.
What? What kind of question?
Just answer it, please. Who am I?
You're Junpei, of course. Who else would you be?
Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. Actually, I'm Santa.
Well, what?
His voice was full of surprise. Oh, he's going to get him on the prosopagnosia now, okay? Wait, are you saying... Are you saying that perhaps Ace did not intend to get Snake? That... Huh. Maybe not, okay. I did not factor into the... I did not factor the prosopagnosia. Am I saying that right? Prosopagnosia, yes. I didn't factor in the prosopagnosia with the snake situation yet. Oh, man. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. Santa looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued.
Clothes I'm wearing, I borrowed from Junpei. And the clothes he's wearing are mine. We had a little swap.
That's ridiculous. Impossible.
So, you're saying I'm not Santa?
Of course you aren't.
Why? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa?
If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. 1 plus 7 plus 8 plus 3 equals 19. 1 plus 9 would be 10. The digital route would be 1. But the 4 of us just opened door 3. You can't possibly be Santa. Your bracelet number isn't 3.
Yeah, but that's a very roundabout way to say that.
It's 5, right?
Only then, when it was too late, did Ace realize his mistake. He set his jaw and glared at Junpei.
You're exactly right. My bracelet number is 5.
As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist up to show everyone the bright red 5 on his wrist.
Sorry, Ace. I tricked you. Of course, I'm not really Santa. I'm Junpei. Who could possibly think I was? It's obvious I'm not. To think I was? Ridiculous. But I guess you couldn't see just how obvious it was. I asked you before, didn't I? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? And you answered. If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. Most people wouldn't say something like that. The first thing that would come to anyone else's mind wouldn't be the bracelet number. There'd only be one thing they'd say. One sentence. You don't have his face. Ace, you have prosopagnosia. Am I right?
Man, it's really convenient that Lotus just brought up the brought this up and allowed Junpei to make the connection. Junpei's voice was quiet and calm. He knew the truth. So did Ace.
Prosopagnosia?
The others looked confused. Yeah, but to sympathize a little bit, that must suck. Like a lot. I'm lucky in that, you know, I have all my senses and I'm fairly unimpaired. You know, I'm not disabled in any way. I can look and see, and so it always to have one of your senses taken away, and it's such a it's hard to imagine. That's what I'll say. And this is such a strangely specific thing to have taken away from someone. I wonder if he was born like that, or if it happened later. I don't know enough about the condition to know, but I can only imagine just how, especially if it happened later. You know, if he wasn't used to it, you know, grew up normal, and then at some point in his life had this happen to him, just being suddenly unable to recognize even the you know, your loved ones near you. It must be well, terrifying, but also frustrating, you know? So we've had a few moments with him where he had those scenes that, you know, were confusing at first, but now make sense. And yeah, I could see it. I could see why he gets stressed out about it. It's, yeah.
What's that?
No clue.
Lotus, would you please tell us?
Prosopagnosia is...
Thank you. He heard Lotus begin to explain it to them. Ace glanced at them, then turned back toward Junpei and sighed.
Very well. I confess.
That's so interesting. So this almost makes me think the game's gonna go somewhere where it's like he didn't know it was Snake, or he thought it was someone else. Which is crazy. I feel like maybe I've been given the answer, and I just don't know how to put it together. Oh, man.
I have prosopagnosia. I cannot differentiate human faces. Is that what this was about? You want to mock me for my disorder?
No, not at all. I'm not making fun of you at all. In fact, I feel kind of bad for you. No, the reason I brought this up is that there's an excellent chance the person who killed Snake has prosopagnosia.
Ooh. Ace's face tightened, his eyes narrowed.
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, because the body's not Snake's. Okay, so that's... Then who is it? Who is it? Is it someone with Snake's bracelet? Did Snake get killed somewhere else? And then someone took the bracelet? What in the world happened during that hour where we were all searching for the parts? Because it sounds like now, maybe Snake. Okay, let's say Snake's the one in the coffin. Some unknown third party came, jumped him. No, but how would he get his bracelet off? It has to be someone with Snake's bracelet, but it's not Snake. Oh, man. Did that person have the ninth man's bracelet? And it's not Ace who has... Was Ace set up? What? Man. Junpei leaned casually against the iron piping of one of the beds.
I'll just come right out with it.
Because the body in there's not Snake.
I think it was you, Ace. You killed him.
Yeah, the only question is, did he intend to, or was he tricked? Well, obviously, if there was a person tricking him, then that person's probably the dead person. So, I guess Ace did intend to kill Snake, but just didn't know it wasn't Snake. Oh man, okay, let's just hear it. Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. He had their undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath.
That's ridiculous. What possible evidence do you...
I have 3 pieces of evidence. The first, think back to a few hours ago. You made us argue over the 3 doors here in the big hospital room. There was no way all 7 people could go through them. Lotus suggested that we sacrifice one of us.
I see, so this goes back to... I remember my very first playthrough, I was thinking, this is either a noble sacrifice, or he has some reason to do this, and this was the reason, yep. Lotus looked away awkwardly. Junpei glanced at her and continued.
Then you, Ace, said, I'll stay here. Why would you say something like that? It's pretty simple, really. You didn't want us to see the dead body in the shower room. You see? If Ace stayed behind, there were only 2 doors the rest of us could go through. Doors 7 and 8. There was no way we could get through door 3, the shower room. You knew that, didn't you, Ace? That's why you volunteered to stay behind.
Come on now, I think that's going a bit far. I can understand if you're jealous of my bravery, but please don't devalue my actions. I only wanted to save the rest of you. Surely you can understand my altruism.
Altruism, huh?
Junpei stared off into the darkness at something very interesting, and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear.
You already knew, didn't you? You knew that whichever doors we took, eventually we'd end up back in the big hospital room.
What on earth are you saying? Of course I didn't know that. How could I have?
Really?
Wait, are you saying he went through door 3? And thus maybe saw the map? Okay, this is something I'm not expecting.
Yes, yes.
Pleading was not something they'd heard from Ace before. Junpei pulled a piece of wax from his ear, glanced at it, and flicked it off into the darkness.
Oh well, that's cool. I've still got 2 more pieces of evidence that say you're the killer. The second is that, as I said earlier, you have prosopagnosia.
Then you mean to imply that a person who can't distinguish human faces must be a bad person? Junpei, they call that prejudice.
No, I am not that stupid.
Then why?
Well, before I explain, I suppose there's something I should tell you.
Are you gonna reveal him being the CEO?
The corpse in the shower room.
Oh, we're revealing this, okay.
It's not Snake's.
What?
Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well if the body wasn't
I didn't
Snake's.
put it together right away, but there was something Clover told me. She said that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. He'd lost his real arm in an accident. But the body we saw in the shower room, let's call him Guy X. Guy X's left arm was definitely flesh and blood. In other words, Guy X couldn't possibly have been Snake.
Oh God. No. That's impossible.
Ace started muttering deliriously to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Junpei was long past caring.
Let's say, hypothetically, that the killer didn't have prosopagnosia. If that were the case, he would immediately realize that Guy X wasn't Snake. Even if the clothes were the same as Snake's, their faces would be completely different. It would have been obvious they were different people. And yet, they still killed him. Why?
Because they had this number 2 bracelet somehow.
Why would they kill a stranger who'd only just shown up? On the other hand, if the killer did have prosopagnosia, it makes sense. They thought Guy X was Snake and killed him.
Wait. Wait just a moment. Let's say you're right. And I mistook Guy X for Snake. Even if I did, I would have had no motive to kill him.
That's something I'm a bit stuck on too, actually.
Why would I want to kill Snake?
I can think of at least 2 motives. 1, Snake knew about your past.
Good one, actually, yes. Because Snake does seem older, he'd be more aware. Maybe he did some digging afterward. I could see that. Although, according to Santa, Ace just revealed that to him in a conversation, but we actually only have Santa's testimony for that. Maybe Santa just... What if... Okay, here's a theory. What if there are 2 zeros, and what if it's Snake and Santa? But that's tough actually, because Clover got killed, and is Snake someone who would put his sister at risk? Like that? But if Snake was a 0, he could potentially have a way to get the bracelet off. Then he could give it to a person. What if we already have the 4 planners all accounted for? What if it's the captain, the 9th guy, Ace, and then Guy X? What if that's the thing?
If he ever revealed what he knew, that would have been really bad for you. You really didn't want that to happen.
This makes it seem like Ace would never reveal who he was, which makes it suspicious that Santa knew, you know? That Santa told us.
So to make sure Snake's mouth stayed shut, you killed him. 2, Snake had a grudge against you. You knew that, or at least you could have easily assumed he did. Even without exposing your identity, he was a threat to you.
Where did we see evidence of this?
You never knew when you might be attacked.
Did we ever see evidence of Snake disliking Ace before, Snake's disappearance? I'm not remembering any off the top of my head. There might have been. I can't remember.
You couldn't ever let your guard down. Every moment was a moment he might try something. You didn't want that kind of danger hanging over you. So you...
Hey, hold on a minute.
For the first time since the beginning of Junpei's explanation, someone besides Ace spoke.
What's the past that Ace wouldn't want us to know? Why did Snake have a grudge against him?
Look at this.
Ooh. Does he have the manifesto?
What's this piece of paper?
Santa squinted at the paper and began
The
to read.
nonary game was played once before 9 years ago. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago.
Yep.
It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO Gentaro Hongo. What is this?
Slowly, Santa looked up from the paper. His eyes met Junpei's.
It's the message from Zero. It was in the safe in the first-class cabin.
Then suddenly...
Give me a break!
Ace's face was red and shaking, and his voice was full of fury tinged with desperation.
That paper is a lie! Someone is trying to frame me!
Me. You said me, right?
Junpei's eyes narrowed and the trap began to close. Ace inhaled sharply, and his eyes flicked off of Junpei to something, anything else.
Wouldn't that mean you're admitting you're Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals? Or am I mistaken?
It was as though a switch had been flipped. The color drained from Ace's face, and he realized what he'd done. His eyes went wide.
Very well. I admit that much. I am certainly the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical, Gentaro Hongo. So what if I am? I don't know anything about this nonary game that supposedly took place 9 years ago. Everything on that scrap of paper is bullshit. Someone is trying to set me up, you see? First of all...
Ace stammered as he tried desperately to work himself into a more tenable position.
Junpei, you're claiming I did this all by myself. Think that over, all right? How could I have killed Snake all by myself?
Not Snake. It was Guy X.
I don't care who it was. You said the killer put this other man into door 3, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Then I couldn't have possibly done that alone.
Unless you or Guy X had the ninth man's bracelet.
I couldn't have opened door 3 with only myself and Guy X.
Nope. You could have.
Huh?
What?
Ace's face was tight, and his teeth were clenched. Junpei fixed him with a level stare. The trap was about to close.
Actually, Ace, when you were unconscious, I took something from you. Remember when you were injected with that anesthetic and fell asleep in the big hospital room? Yeah, back then, I took this.
Junpei put his hand in his pocket.
No! You couldn't have!
Ace's right hand moved. Junpei smiled. Ooh! Nice. Nice. Causes him to... Oh, this is the Junpei we saw... this is the Junpei we saw in this line here. When we went through door 3, and he tricked Lotus and Santa, and forced them to... This is that Junpei right now.
I got you, Ace. Your right hand there tells me all I need to know.
Oh, so tricksy, Junpei.
You want to tell me what you were so worried about? What's in your pocket?
That was so sly. My goodness.
It's the number 9 bracelet, isn't it?
Hey, there we go.
Ace, Guy X, and the ninth man's bracelet. That was all you needed to open door 3.
1 + 2 + 9 = 12. 1 + 2 = 3.
That's how you killed Guy X all by yourself, Ace. All you needed was the number 9 bracelet in your chest pocket.
Of course, the question is, why would Guy X... it seems so strange that Guy X would participate in this. Like, I almost want to say maybe he was incapacitated in some way. And then, Ace just forced his hand there. I guess that's how it had to have been. Guy X must have been incapacitated. Ace lowered his hand from where its head had stopped halfway to his pocket. He looked down at the floor, his face hidden from Junpei. All he could see was the corner of Ace's mouth, twitching like a dying fish.
If you want to play innocent, that's fine by me. Go ahead, tell me. I don't have the bracelet, if that's what you want to do. But if you could take off your coat and hand it to me, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll have to take it from you by force. Right, Seven?
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
Seven cracked his knuckles with a sound like gunfire. Evil villain laugh? Has he just lost it? Ace roared with laughter. He threw his arms wide and his head back and laughed, filling the room with a sound that scarcely belonged there. Then it stopped. His arms came down and his head dropped to look straight ahead at Junpei. Ooh. The mask has been dropped. His face was flat and cold, devoid of any emotion.
Well done, Junpei.
Okay.
As you so correctly deduced, I have the number 9 bracelet. I retrieved it while we were searching for the missing hardware for the red.
Okay, I need to know, do you have a knife? And have you used it to kill Clover? And Lotus and all the other timelines?
I left the room I was supposed to search.
Yes, so this, obviously, it's the missing hour. I've said it several times now, but yeah, it has to be during then.
And headed to the first-class cabin on B deck.
His voice showed no emotion, no sense of remorse or interest. He was almost bored, as though he were reciting an especially dull corporate letter.
My purpose was to obtain the number 9 bracelet. 9 is a potent ally in the nonary game. Adding 9 to any set of numbers won't alter the digital root.
1 plus 9 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. 2 plus 9 equals 11. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 3 plus 9 equals 12. 1 plus 2 equals 3.
As you can see, 9 is a very useful number here.
Like in Baccarat.
With it, one can go anywhere, with anyone. It is, I suppose you could say, a game changer. So I made for the first-class cabin to obtain it. In mere moments, I successfully acquired the number 9 bracelet.
Would he have only been able to do that because 7 jammed the door open? Or would he have been able to get it some other way?
There was also an unexpected bonus. The knife the 9th man had used.
Oh, yeah. I had completely forgotten he had a knife. Oh, yeah. Son of a gun. I had completely forgotten that the 9th man took Clover hostage in the beginning. I mean, it makes sense. I don't remember where he got it. I think, was it in his room when he woke up or something? Son of a gun. Yeah. Okay, that tracks. Yeah.
I quickly pocketed both of them and left.
Alright, he has the knife, so he's our runaway knifer.
I made my way back to where I was expected to be. That's when I ran into Snake. Well, this guy X, actually. I spotted him ahead of me. He was heading for the large hospital room and hadn't noticed me.
He had to been wearing...
The man wearing Snake's clothes arrived at door 3.
Wearing Snake's clothes.
When he stopped, I walked up behind him and called out, "Snake." He turned around.
Look at this guy. Is he also... He's also closing his eyes?
He said nothing. His mouth simply hung half open.
Was he drugged or something?
He seemed dazed somehow, almost like a man half asleep. Perhaps he had been drugged.
Yeah.
It wasn't important. I tend to gloss over little things like that.
Well, in this case, you probably shouldn't have.
I was certain that man was Snake. I knew Snake had taken part in the nonary game 9 years ago.
Okay, yep. That was one question I had. Yep. So Ace does recognize these people.
Being blind, it made sense that he didn't recognize me immediately upon our first meeting. But why then hadn't Snake said anything to me later?
Would he have... You're saying he would have recognized your voice?
Surely he hadn't forgotten what had happened to him in the nonary game. But not once did he attempt to confront me. Did his lack of sight prevent him from fully recognizing who I was?
So wait, you recognize Snake, but did you not recognize Santa or Clover? Or 7? Because they were all participants, weren't they? 7 gets a pass because he seemed to be an amnesiac. But what about Clover and 7? You didn't, or Clover and Santa? You don't recognize them? Huh.
Or perhaps Snake had conspired with Zero to deceive me. Regardless, he was a threat, and it was better to deal with him sooner rather than later. I had to get rid of him before he took action. With quick thinking, my plan went into motion immediately. I held the number 9 bracelet over the red. I waved my own bracelet in front of the red, and then grabbed Snake's arm and shoved his hand against the scanner panel. The door opened. I threw the man through it.
Oh, he did open his eyes here.
9 seconds later, the door shut. 81 seconds passed.
The man inside the door passed away.
After that, I returned to my post as though nothing had happened. After conducting my own search, I returned to the large hospital room when the 1 a.m. bell rang.
Ace's eyes were cold, his cheeks were hollow and pallid. When he spoke, only his lips and tongue moved. The rest of his face was eerily still. Junpei glared at Ace. He took a deep breath and thought about the next question he had to ask. He didn't want to. He knew what the answer would be. He just didn't want to hear it. Junpei swallowed and spoke.
Ace, did you kill Clover?
Yes.
Okay. There it is.
Why? Why did you kill her?
She was Snake's sister.
Fair enough.
It was possible he had told her something dangerous. Additionally, she had gone through door 1. It seemed likely she might have found it.
Found what? We know that Ace... We saw that in that scene where we went to the captain's quarters, when he reached into Junpei's pocket and found out he did the trick with the papers, he said something like, "I found your trick out, but it doesn't matter because I got the door I wanted." So that means he's aware of what's behind certain doors.
Found what?
Why don't you go through door 1 yourself?
Or they're the man in there. I guess the corpse is what he's talking about specifically?
Perhaps it's hidden somewhere.
Or, I don't know.
Yeah, but Lotus and I went through door 1 too.
We didn't see anything suspicious.
You didn't see the corpse?
Yes. I thought as much after I heard your report at the central stairs. I doubt the two of you could find it.
Or the Alice book? What's the thing?
But perhaps Clover was different. Perhaps she had found it. I was, therefore, desperate to find her.
It could be thinking about it more now, I'm gonna guess it was the Alice book and maybe more specifically the key card for the library. So maybe he needed to go. He wanted to get through door 9, and that's why he kills Lotus. And he wants to. I'm guessing you might need the key card after door 9, because he's the CEO and he ran this experiment, one of the 4 planners. So he knows how to get through this. So I guess in this instance, yeah. Interesting. Okay, yeah.
And at last I did, in the first-class cabin.
Oh, you went there?
I spoke very calmly. Did you see it?
See what?
Oh, in the first-class cabin. Sorry, I thought captain's quarters for a second.
Don't act as if you don't understand. You were in the captain's quarters, weren't you?
Uh-huh. What are you talking about?
Very well. By the way, what are you doing here, Clover?
What? Nothing.
There's blood on your shoes. It looks fresh.
Yeah, the captain.
Did you go take a look at the 9th man's corpse? I see. Your silence suggests that you noticed. You saw something, didn't you? You saw that his bracelet was gone.
No!
Clover ran. She made for the exit, but Ace stood in her way.
You aren't going anywhere.
He caught her by the collar as she passed and threw her to the floor hard.
You're staying here.
No!
She slipped back up and darted past him into the hallway. Ace followed at a run.
Don't you run, little girl.
He was faster.
That was how I killed Clover.
His face hadn't changed. If he felt guilt or remorse or anything one might feel after taking the life of another human being, it didn't show.
You son of a bitch!
Someone's whole body trembled with rage, and his voice rumbled with hate. Sanda's eyes were bloodthirsty, and Lotus and June's faces were distorted by anger and hatred. Ace looked at them and smiled. It was a cold, cruel thing with no humor in it. You know, he probably still has the knife, so we should be careful. He shook his head and sighed.
I admit it. I've lost. I have lost. Completely and utterly.
Still here. Wow, there's a lot to go through, huh?
Don't misunderstand, Junpei. I didn't lose to you.
You lost to Zero?
I lost to Zero.
Yeah.
Not you. I'm rather disgusted with myself for falling into such a simple trap. I looked the fool. And it was a trap. Make no mistake. I was trapped and manipulated by Zero. The man I killed in the shower room? If he wasn't Snake, then I have no idea who he was. But he was wearing Snake's clothes. And that was no coincidence. He had also been injected with something that reduced his cognition and prevented him from identifying himself or resisting me. And we can't forget the components that were removed from the red before we arrived. I have no doubt that Zero planned all of this.
Man. Certain assumptions had to be made here that specifically hoping Ace would come across the man, Guy X, at the right time and place. That's quite something. Because if any one of us had, gone back to the hospital for whatever reason, or... Because didn't Ace say he was going to go back to trying to search, and he just caught sight of Snake going into, or, Guy X going into the hospital room? So, unless Zero, if it's Santa or Snake who is Zero, they could have just been waiting they may have seen Ace leave and then just waited for him to come back, and once they did, they sent the guy out. Maybe something like that, I don't know.
Zero made sure I would kill that man. It follows, of course, that Zero knew everything I would do. That I would try to take the number 9 bracelet. That I would try to kill Snake. Everything.
Suddenly, Junpei remembered the paper he'd found in the safe. He'd remembered the last words Zero had written on it. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. That is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. Zero. And he remembered other words he'd heard from Clover.
I think Zero is one of us.
Huh?
One by one, Junpei looked at the other 5 people standing in front of him. Ace, Santa, June, 7, Lotus.
Zero is one of us? No. Wait, there's one more person. Snake. The man who died in the shower room isn't Snake. That means he's almost certainly still alive. Maybe Snake is Zero. Maybe he made Guy X wear his clothes so that we'd all think he was dead. Where's Snake now? What if he's off somewhere laughing at us? If he is Zero, he must have been lying to us about everything else.
The only issue with this is, one, the game's now telling me, which automatically makes me want to think about what else it could be. But also, Clover's the big sticking point. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I was with Snake enough to really know his ideas about the relationship, but certainly with Clover, she really loved Snake. It broke her and made her go into become an axe murderer. So she obviously really cared about Snake. So the question is, would Snake be comfortable with putting Clover at risk, potentially death in this game? If he is, then that's quite something. But if he's not, then I think it's probably still Santa. And there's still the crazy thing where it might be 2 zeros, in which case it could be Snake again, or could be the crazy wild card June or something. I don't know.
Is he watching us?
Oh, is that the chapter
Well,
break?
I believe I've finished with my confession. Why don't we get moving?
Okay, it's about 50 minutes. I think we're in a new chapter. Let's stop. This was really good. This was a really good episode. A lot of stuff got revealed. And a lot of stuff's gonna get revealed next time. We're in it now, man. We're in the end game now. There's not even much for me to say. It's just next time more. It's gonna be more of this, which is great and exciting. A A lot of my thoughts just got confirmed. That's always a good feeling. And some stuff I didn't expect. I did not put together the prosopagnosia and the death of Snake. That's something I should have been able to do, but I didn't do it. But it makes sense. Makes sense. Yep. Right as they said it, I made the connection. Well, them saying it, they made the connection, and that, caused me to see. Could have had it. I got the Ace was the culprit, and the, Ninth Man's bracelet, all that stuff. And I'm guessing what Ace wanted to get from Clover was the key card, since he knows exactly what you need to do the game, right? Okay. Next time, we'll continue more with 999. Hope you're all doing well. Have a good one.